God, the creator of all things, he did not put you here to do nothing with your life. He put you here on a mission with a purpose. He didn't put you here to watch other people live out their dreams on social media. He didn't put you here to watch reality TV shows all day. He didn't put you here just to work your 9 to 5 in your little tiny cubicles. He put you here on a mission. Then you ask yourself, Lord, why did I have to go through so many things in my life that crippled my faith and converted my faith into my fears? But quite often we have to remind ourselves that God will allow certain things to happen, not to us, but for us. And also so we can remember who he is in our life. So we can create a memory bank that overpowers the negatives and renews our faith. So we are reminded that God is still God. The God that rescued you 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is still the same God that operates within you today. But the enemy likes to distract us. He likes to use our negatives and use it to debilitate and use it to his advantage in order to cripple us indefinitely. You know, before I committed to this channel, I had to make a decision whether I was going to continue working or step away altogether, let go of a 6-figure income, and embrace the unknown. And that unknown starts with content creating. You know, as a content creator, there is no guarantee. You're in it or you're not. And I remember calling my sister and I said to her, I'm thinking about quitting my job. I want to put more time into my family, and I also want to pour more into my YouTube channel. And she said, girl, I know a lot of content creators who are broke. Now, I wouldn't say that was the most mature thing to say. I mean, it wasn't encouraging, it was discouraging. But I know that fear likes to use people, sometimes the people closest to us, to creep through that door, to open a crack so that way it can communicate with us. So it can say things like, Kimberly, I don't think you should do this. I don't think this is the right time. Maybe she's right. Maybe this isn't something you should consider doing. But then I reminded myself of the God that I served who put something in me. This desire wasn't just something that I woke up with. It was put there for a purpose. And I had to remind myself of all the times God has shown up in my life when I was afraid, when I was invited to sit at tables that I didn't think I belonged in, yet I succeeded because God upheld me in his right hand. He lifted me. He was my strength when I was weak. Do you know how scary it is to walk in a room and be the only minority there? And I'm not just talking about color, as a Black woman, as a woman, period. Being the only female to walk through that door. Do you know what kind of fear creeps in the back of your mind and tells you, you don't measure up to these people. You don't belong here. You don't even deserve a spot here. Maybe they made a mistake because you're going to fail. And I look over my performance because as a writer, you're able to actually look at the metrics and the measurements and see where your status is. And I was ranking on the first page of Google. My articles was ranking really high. And the editors reached out to me and personally said, thank you for all you've done for our company. And I was the only woman of color in the room. And I carried the fear of failure, but God reminded me, was I not there with you when you carried that fear? Did I not carry you through? Did you not excel in everything you touched because of me operating within you? Who gave you that gift? It was me. And I need you to think of those things when fear comes knocking on your door, when the opinions come. And sometimes it's not opinions, it's your lived experiences. Myron Golden said something that really touched me, and I watch him all the time. He said, The first commandment was not part of the 10 commandments. The first commandment he gave us was to be fruitful, which is found in Genesis. And he said, when you think about fruits, fruits are a living organism. And within every single fruit, there are seeds. And what is within that fruit is meant to produce something outside of it. It is not meant to be kept inside. It is meant to not only produce, but to multiply. So that means God put something in you, which are the seeds, but not for you to keep to yourself, but to produce a harvest. There's nothing God does that has mediocrity written all over it. Everything functions from a place of greatness, from a place of magnitude, from a place of magnificence, because God is the creator of all things. How dare you expect anything less? What he put inside of you was meant to be useful, to provide a service, to serve others other than just yourself. The Bible says this: each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. You were given a gift that's different from my gift. The seeds you carry will bring forth a different fruit. But God gave that to you. And he is instructing you to fulfill that purpose. Because only you can do it. Do you know that studies have found that 1 out of every 2 people believe they would perform better if they didn't carry the fear of failure? I know the fear of failure was introduced to me for the first time in my life when I was 12 years old and I lost the storytelling contest. Ever since then, I carried this debilitating fear that told me, you're not going to win this time, Kim. Remember what happened last time? Because our brains are designed to protect us. It uses past traumas and memories and says, hey, Kimberly, I remember when you took a risk before. And this is what we felt. We felt shame. We felt guilt. We felt embarrassment. I don't think we should take this risk again. But faith believes in the unseen. Is not meant to operate that way. And in order to tap into the power of God, you need to tap into faith. So the fear of failure comes with 2 feelings: the feeling and the fear of the unknown, and the feeling of inadequacy. But here's what the Bible says about fear. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. So the fear that we are feeling is literally torment to our mind, bodies, and our souls. We are punishing ourselves. God is love. And he said, perfect love casts out all fears. So that tells me it starts with believing in what he said about you. How dare you call God a liar? If he said you are beautifully, perfectly, and wonderfully made. Believe him. I dare you to challenge yourself to believe him. Allow his perfect love to remove all the fear. What would you attempt to do if you could not fail? Make sure you write that down. Remember, hello guys, I am a life coach. Please expect every time you watch a video with me, it's going to be a free life coaching session. It's just what it is, okay? Have your notepad, your iPad, whatever you got in your phone, make sure you write it down, okay? We got some work to do. And quite often, most of us are visual learners, which is why you're on YouTube. I'm assuming because you like to not only watch, but you like to listen. If you didn't like to watch, you'll be on a podcast right now listening, right? So write down, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? Maybe you'll write that book, start that t-shirt line, buy that house, make that investment, get back into school, work on that second degree. Put it down. Now, I want you to write all of your fears associated with the failure. Write down everything. I think I might end up in the same situation I was in before. Some of you have college degrees that you're still paying for. Some of you have degrees that you can't even use to get a job with. Some of you purchase a home and you can barely pay your light bill. You can barely fill the space with furniture. Some of you started a business, maybe a t-shirt line, and purchased 100 t-shirts expecting to sell at least 10, but couldn't sell one. We know, I get it. I've been there. I know what failure looks like. I know what it feels like. I know what fear feels like. Now, what if I told you this? That the only way to succeed is to fail. That through failure is your only way to success. Can you name one single person? I want to challenge you on this. Name one single person you know who succeeded in anything without failure. I think about Simone Biles as she mastered that flip and we all witnessed it. I wondered, how many times did she fall, bruise her legs, bleed, scream, and cry before she mastered that flip? She became one of the greatest gymnasts of all time, and we got to witness that. Or Michael Jordan, when he was cut from the team when he was in high school and he didn't give up. So he failed and failed and failed again, but went back in there and did his thing. We need to embrace failure, understanding that it is the secret ingredient for and to success. Because mastery not only takes time, but God uses it for our good. It's written that God allows trials and tribulations to come in order to build perseverance and character. So when you stand in those seats, you carry the strength of humility on your shoulders because God was with you all along. And you will never, ever exalt yourself because you know it was him who carried you through, which makes room for God to exalt you. So yes, fear is learned, fear is taught. And sometimes fear is something that we inherited. It was passed down through generations. You were born with some of these fears. Did you know that? Some of us, our fears are from experience, and some, it's our inheritance. We like to call it generational curses. Life coaches like to call it generational patterns. But you got the power to break it, don't you? So I want you to do this. I want you to visualize fear as a thief that comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And if a thief came to your house right now, let's pretend somebody's broke into your house. What would you do? You would stand there in the sidelines and just quietly let them just steal the things out of your home? Or would you try to fight tooth and nail to get your stuff and protect your things? I know as a mom, I sure would. And even if you don't use physical strength, you may make a phone call and call the cops and say, hey, I ain't going to just sit here and do nothing. These are my things that I worked so hard for. This is my home. I need to protect it. So why don't you call on God in that way? Why don't you fight back and fight those fears? Why don't you fight back this in the same way? Because that fear is trying to steal your purpose. It's trying to stop you from pursuing what is attached to you living out your God-given calling, which is the closest thing to fulfillment you'll ever receive in your entire life. Anything that's a threat to me, I'm putting my boxing gloves on. It's going down. You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. Sometimes you need to remind yourself of whose you are and who you are. So right now, I want you to write your spiritual resume. You know, when you go to a job and when you apply for the job, you go in with a resume, right? And on that resume, you write down and you make sure you put all of your experiences and all of your strengths to pretty much say, hey, I deserve this position. I'm the person for the job. Look at my experience. Look at all the skills I come with. Hire me. Why don't you create a spiritual resume in that way, reminding yourself of all the things that you overcame with the help of God and what you come with? Remind yourself of not only the gifts, not only the skills, not only the talents, but the strength that was given to you by God to allow you to still stand today, to allow you to have the audacity to believe that something in you is greater than yourself, that is greater than your fears, which is why you're watching this video, not because you're bored. You purposely clicked this video, not because it was the greatest looking thumbnail, not because the quality of this video is the greatest. Absolutely not. There's something in you that's waiting to be born. And you got the power to do it, and you believe in yourself, because you wouldn't waste your time watching a 20-something video, 18-minute video, or however long this video is going to be for nothing. I don't attract those kind of people in my life. Anyone that watches me or joins me on this platform are great. Absolutely magnificent people. Write your spiritual resume. Think about everything you overcame with the help of God and remind yourself how spiritually gangster you truly are. Just remind yourself of those times. I was short $1,000 on my rent. Here I still am. I'm still standing. They took my car. I'm still standing. I can't pay back my student loans, but I'm still standing. Because I can't risk what God put in me to remain dormant. Because it's too expensive. It's too valuable. I refuse to let what's in me die. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Join in on this conversation. I don't want to feel like I'm talking to myself. And let me know, what are your current fears? What are you afraid of? Is it opinions? Is it the fear of shame, embarrassment? Are you afraid of losing more than you gain? Are you afraid of making another investment that will fail once again? Are you afraid of putting in time, work, effort, blood, sweat, tears, and energy, and it result into absolute nothingness? Write that in the comment section and let us encourage each other to be fruitful and to multiply and to overcome those fears, because what is in us is too expensive, too great of an investment to let go. Take care and God bless.